So the title of this art piece is Indigenous Land and People Are One. I'm using my MacBook here with Inkscape to typeset, and then I'm using this in-focus projector to then put it up on the screen here. And the screen is actually the red fabric that I'm going to be painting all over for this banner. So we'll see how everything comes out. Okay. So for the piece, Indigenous Land and People Are One, I was thinking about the theme of water protectors, and I was actually thinking about Jesse's story about Jean-Luc raccoon and all the palmetto from the southeast. So I was just sort of thinking about like all the different front lines of the climate crisis in Minnesota. So having a sketch of some wild rice, having the palmetto here from the southeast, having some quahog shells from the northeast, and just thinking about like what kind of brings our communities together. And I thought that the raccoon was pretty universal and cute enough that people might like to see that in the piece. So now we're taking the sketch, gone from a pen sketch, brought that into the computer, projected that onto the wall. So now we have the sketch on the banner. And I'm going to start coloring it in. Okay, so now that I've gone back and I've added some blue to make sure those letters pop up. And the blue actually is kind of, it's not a really consistent shade, but I think it's actually kind of nice. It gives it some dimension. Thinking about water. There are a couple of spots that I might want to touch up, but so far I think we're pretty good. So while we're waiting on the sketch to dry, waiting on the piece to dry, you can see that the sketch, the face of the raccoon is a little bit off, a little bit more stylized than what I thought I would want to have. So I downloaded some clip art of a raccoon, vectorized it, put it onto the sketch in GIMP, going from Inkscape into GIMP, laying that over the sketch so I have a corrected face, and I'm projecting that now. So right now we're doing a little bit of drying, but once that's done, then I'm gonna go back over the piece, coloring in the raccoon and the wild rice at the top, the palmettos, and the quahogs. And then we should be close to done. Just gonna turn off the projector for a second. You can see now it's starting to take shape. Have the raccoon and the saying, the Indigenous Land and People Are One. Gonna just be doing some black finishing. Going around, kind of making some lines a little bit clearer. There are some splatters all over the place because one of the corners came down, but I feel like this is part of what makes it a one-of-a-kind piece. So we'll see how things turn out. And here's the finished product. I have the raccoon. You can take a little quick peek at like how I blended in the paint here. You have some wild rice that he's guarding or she's guarding, some palmetto leaves, quahog shells, and then our idea, Indigenous Land and People Are One. So that's the piece.